My name is Margaret Wong, and today we are lucky to have Dr. Baston come and interview with us, and I'm just so proud. I've sat on Dr. Baston's um, foundation board for years and years and years, and from nothing, we have now hundreds and millions of dollars. So, Dr. Baston, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Well, I'm certainly glad to be with you today. I'm
Thank you.
very proud to be the president of Cuyahoga Community College. This is my third year as president of our community. We serve about 42,000 students, and we have about 6,000 graduates of degrees and certificates every year. We are all throughout the county of Cuyahoga County in the Cleveland area, but beyond. We have programs that are statewide programs and people who come from other states to take courses with us. And so I'm very, very proud to be with you, an icon in our community. We certainly appreciate your efforts and your dedication for our students and our community. You're legendary, so it's an honor for me to be with you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Baston. Dr. Baston is a very, very humble person, and when we were talking to each other earlier, I had asked Dr. Baston about the first bachelor's degree. Can you explain to us your first bachelor's degree?
I am so excited because in our community, manufacturing is such an important growth area and industry, particularly with reshoring and so many more manufacturers coming back to do work, not only in America, but in Ohio. And so we are going to be offering our first bachelor's degree. It's in smart manufacturing. We opened it this fall, and the students will be able to actually get the practical, hands-on, applied learning as a part of their baccalaureate experience. And we built that bachelor's degree with business and industry, with Lincoln Electric and other companies, so that those students would be able to be talent ready for any of the different opportunities that are here in the community. So we're very, very excited about it.
That's awesome. Is that a 4-year degree or 3 years?
That's a 4-year degree. And so we are going to, one of my goals is to have 5 bachelor's degrees by 2030. That's my goal. These degrees take a long time because they have to go through a lot of state regulations and so on and so forth. But we want our students in our community to have advanced degrees that are applied degrees. And by that I mean they actually have practical learning opportunities and experience. They're not just theoretical. We really believe that as we build the skills of the people in our community, we actually strengthen their ability to have a competitive advantage in the marketplace.
Great. Dr. Pisto, another question I have is because I myself is a foreign-born immigrant, and we are very tiger moms for our immigrant children.
Yes.
And through the years and years, we've been active with the Asian communities, the Chinese communities, the Indians, any community that really treasures education. And my question has always been I want people to come experience Tri C because I personally love it. I love your music program, your jazz program, and the creativity. And I've heard, and you probably haven't, you are the big guy on campus. But I have a lot of, like, especially people who came to America new, they take courses in writing,
Yes.
in the creative poetry, because they really want to learn English in the very American sense of good English, and they said the professors are very hand-holding. They personally sit with you to correct your English language. It's not like some bigger universities where it's very like 2 hours office hours a week, and you never get to see a professor. So but these are more parents who wants to learn. My question to you is, as Asians who really take education very, very seriously, and we want our kids to get into the best and brightest, how do I, as someone who believe in Tri-C and believe in your applied education, how do we convince those parents that Tri-C is a great education? Not only that, it's not just about, computers or medicine. Of course, you have a great nursing program. But how do we convince them that Tri-C is a great university, not just another inner city university? And I know that sounds discriminatory.
No, no, no. It actually, there has often been a challenge of some folks about a community college education. And they might be thinking that, this might not be the best option for their young person. But I can tell you in today's world, the community colleges are the place where the enrollments are up and the programs are sharp because people are recognizing that you need skills today. Look at our governments. The governments are now rechanging the work requirements. So the gatekeeper credentials, like the bachelor's degree and other degrees, are now being tossed aside for skill-based education. Do you have the skills? Can you demonstrate that if you come into this workforce environment that you're going to be successful, that you will have the power skills to navigate the complexities of the experience? And young people today are and more likely to choose educational experiences that are much more accommodating with their life choices. You have a lot of young people today that don't want to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, have a cubicle in an office downtown for 40 years. That's not today's students. Today's students have much more entrepreneurial sort of desires. They are much more socially conscious about the world and what's happening in the world. And so what the community college offers is a level of flexibility to be able to have education in multiple modalities. In my college, as an example, we're not just locked into the traditional 16 weeks in the spring and 16 weeks in the fall. You can come and you can do an 8-week course, a 12-week course, a 14-week course, or the traditional 16-week course. You can come online, you can come on site, you can do hybrid, you can do self-paced. So the number of options that we offer for the educational experiences that students have are very, very different because we recognize the importance of that flexibility and that nimbleness. And we are a very, very selective institution. We, I would argue, are more selective than Harvard and Yale and Princeton. Now you say, well, Dr. Baston, how could you be more selective than Harvard and Yale and Princeton or Oxford? How could you be more selective than these places? Well, it is because those institutions select the students and they decide who's a winner and who's not a winner. The students select us. We're the winner. And so for us, we get the top 100% of people who have desire, who have dreams, who have motivation, and we meet them at their level of preparation. And we help them achieve their goals and their dreams. So if English is not your first language, that doesn't mean you're disqualified from help and support so that you can better your English skills. And regardless of where you start, we have many people who come to our country and in their home countries, they were professionals. They had wonderful educational backgrounds and experiences, and some of those credentials are not recognized here. So we recognize them. We want them to be able to actually get the English skills that they need and get on the paths to the opportunities that actually exist. So I feel very fortunate, quite frankly, to be able to serve people who are 18 and people who are 89. Mm-hmm. I feel very fortunate to help people either get a degree or a certificate or just to get their personal interest, things that they're passionate about, that we can offer them those opportunities.
That's awesome. Two more questions, if I
Mm-hmm.
may.
Yeah.
You and I was on your table listening to you on the Shark Tank. Can you explain to our listeners what that program was about and every year how much money we raised and how many scholarships we gave? And also, I'm really impressed with this year. It's the first year that I didn't know this person. I just came because every year I came as a tradition. And then I met this guy. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's good. It turned out he's very famous with a younger population, with people of minority race. I'm like, that's interesting because I don't watch TV, so I don't know him.
Yes, well, this year we actually were able to get from Shark Tank, this American show, usually on CNBC and those kind of programs, and even on ABC as well, that actually have pitch competitions. Aspiring entrepreneurs come and they actually pitch their whatever product they have and to try to get investors from rich people.
From rich people. Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so Damon John, who is the founder of FUBU, a clothing line in New York, he actually was the judge, if you will, for the final sort of competition as to who would win. and we went through first level screening, and students from our 10,000 small business program were a part of it, and also on our entrepreneurship program. We have a corporate college which offers a plethora of entrepreneurship programs. And so to be able to see one of those students pitch and win the competition, and it just so happened that the young man that won is 17 years old. He designs his own clothing. He works with a manufacturer overseas since he was 14. And he got a chance to meet the founder of this clothing line, who now is, Damon John is responsible for Bomba socks. The socks that when you buy a pair of the socks, a portion of those proceeds go to help others.
I have Bomba socks today. No, Bomba socks.
Bomba
Yeah,
socks.
that's right. It's Bomba socks.
Yes.
Maybe I should show you my phone. I was just thinking, I love Bomba. I didn't know he did
Damon
that.
John
Oh my
is
gosh,
a
I better write
part
him a note.
owner
Oh my
in
gosh.
Bomba socks. So this idea of being a shark and investing and engaging in this sort of philanthropic social venture capitalism.
That's a very famous sock. I mean, I'm sure
Yes,
you know that.
yes, absolutely.
I buy them because it's warm, it lasts forever, it
And
doesn't have holes.
but they also donate to people who don't have socks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
for every pair of socks that you buy, another pair is sent to the less fortunate. So you can do good and do well. And we wanted to bring in front of our students someone who has that kind of intentionality. Here's a person that didn't get a chance to get an education, and he was educated by life. And to be able to see and seed in the young people a future generation of opportunity is really what's important and powerful.
That is so powerful because normally we have President Bush, we had
Yes.
all these Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she's great.
Yes.
And this time I'm like, oh my gosh, what an inspirational speaker too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We really look forward to try to bring people to the community, more specifically to the students, that they can relate to, that they can look up to, that they can aspire to be.
That's right.
And not just to be what they see, but I firmly believe that you have to have raised ambition in this world.
That's right.
But it's very difficult to have that raised ambition if you don't have awareness of what's possible and you have no one assisting you to get there. That's why the work that you do is so powerful, because when you're working with your clients, you're raising their ambition. You're letting them know that their circumstance does not have to limit their possibility. And regardless of how they come and what the circumstance and what they're facing, you encourage them, you inspire them, you motivate them, you allow them to dream again. And oftentimes, when you are dealing with people whose dreams have been deferred or even denied or delayed, trying to encourage them, trying to inspire them is a challenge in and of itself. Mm-hmm. But your ability to breathe life into hopes and dreams and ambition, and your ability to give them something to aspire to, that inspiration, that assistance makes ambition real.
Wait, we're on the show here. I was like, oh, that's very inspirational. So tell me a little bit your history. How do you speak so well? Every time I watch you, I'm like, this person is okay. It's really good. Oh my gosh.
Well, I began my actual career as a public interest lawyer. So I've represented.
I forgot you're a lawyer because I've known you for years, but I
Yes,
didn't
yes.
remember you're a lawyer. Oh my
Yes, I
gosh.
started out as a public interest lawyer. As I was raised in sort of becoming a law student and everything, I worked at the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, Center for Constitutional Rights, the Legal Services, and all of those that was what grounded me. And then I got into education law, represented educational corporations, was asked to teach. So I started teaching for some of my clients, and that's how I got in administration. So I did not start out as a sort of, the education path wasn't my path. I went back and got a doctorate later, but that wasn't my path. I started out as a lawyer. I started out establishing tenant associations and fighting landlords and trying to keep people from being mistreated in the criminal complaint review board situations and things of that nature. That's how I got my start.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I was not thinking. You know, like, whoa, yeah. I thought your parents may be pastors or evangelical ministers.
I
You know,
mean, I
like
certainly grew up
yeah.
in the church. Yes, I
Right,
did
right, right.
definitely grew up in
That's
the church.
awesome.
But no, my professional life began in public interest law.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So what do you aspire to after this step? Because you're really an interesting character. You are. And to be someone like you have to be willing to take risks,
Yes.
stick your neck out,
Yeah.
talk to people. You know, it's a hard job what you're doing. You know, it's
Well, for
difficult.
me, I think my primary work here in Cleveland is to make sure that we expand opportunity. And I feel that we are still, as we know, the second poorest, biggest city in America.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh.
With a third of the citizens of Cleveland proper who are in poverty, with the child poverty rate what it is, with the educational challenges that our young people have, with all of those issues, I believe it's my responsibility to use the power and authority that I have through our institution to really be the community's college, so that in fact all of the different systems that often people keep people in a permanent underclass. How can I use the power of education and our infrastructure and our resources to liberate? The bell hooks concept of educate to liberate. This idea that if we are teaching people to transgress, teaching people to move away from the structures, not just systems, but the structures in the mind, sometimes our conditions lead us, and our conditions now sometimes immobilize us and make us think that we can't do better, we can't go further, that we are become the victims of circumstance. And I don't believe that people should live like that. I really believe that people should not be making decisions only because of circumstance. And if you're going to design your destiny, you're going to need people that's going to help you do that. And that's why this college, who is in a position, because we're public access, we're open access institution, we're open to everyone. That is a game changer, because we're not a gatekeeper to your dreams and hopes and aspirations, but we're a gateway. And I want people that are working with me and who are my colleagues and friends to have that same level of passion and commitment. Mm-hmm. Because that's what it's going to take if we are going to make sure that people who are on the outside of the opportunity ecosystem, if we're going to make sure they get in, we can't be afraid to see them. Mm-hmm. And to understand the systems that confine them and the circumstances that guide them and lead them.
Now, another idea I had, actually, I'm very close with the Mexican consulates because we do a lot of work with the Mexican consulates. In fact, I think Tri-C is on their list to start a scholarship and stuff like that we are working with Ms. Megan.
Yes.
Now, my question is, we work with so many different consulates, but some, like Mexican consulate, reach out to lawyers like us, so we help their and let's face it, Mexico depends on US dollars from these workers to send back. Absolutely. So I was thinking there must be a way from these consulates who work with their own country people to really reach out to Tri-C, because it really bothers me that people say, oh, it's just a Tri-C, we need to go to the prep school, because we have a lot of wealthy, I'm not talking about, we have poor people too, but also rich people, but there's a lot of new immigrants now.
Yes.
From the Far East, and they have some money,
Yes.
but they don't look at Cleveland. It's not even just for you, it's for the whole city, that they look at, we need to go to Boston, there's a big prep school in New Jersey. It's right next to Indian. I know all these prep schools because that's where they want to go. And how do we do that? How do we get the message out? Because I love the way you speak, but you couldn't speak with every parent. And you couldn't speak with because these people, they all have, I shouldn't say notarios, they all have people who link them to schools, and these people get paid a lot of money by their parents. They pay thousands of dollars to help them get accepted admission. I would love for them to even get a tour, and I don't mind leading it. I just don't know how to get the word out. Once you name the name community, they're like, Margaret, what are you doing? It's like that.
Well, it's so interesting because when you think about the cost now of those institutions, and you think about the students who leave
And I hope you
me.
don't mind me raising
Oh
it
no,
because
this
I
is a
love
great. No, no, no.
Tri-C. Yeah.
But do you think about the students that leave us and what they become? I
Oh
think
my
part
God.
of what we need to share with others is who our students become. I think sometimes people get caught up in what how they start. They don't necessarily realize that they are mayors and they are owners of major corporations, and they don't think of community college students, and not just Tri-C, but community college students in general, as people that are people of accomplishment. But if you enjoyed Halle Berry in a movie, well, she went to Tri-C. If you enjoy Tom Hanks in a movie, well, he went to a community college. If you've enjoyed Billy Crystal, if you enjoy Whoopi Goldberg, if you enjoy Eddie Murphy, if you enjoy many of these folks, they all got their start in
In
community
community
colleges.
college.
So I think
I did. I got my start in a Catholic community college.
isn't that
Yeah, in
wonderful?
Iowa. Yep.
So we've got to get the word out. I think because we are open access, people presume that in fact that there's something wrong because we weren't more selective, if you will. But I submit that the selectivity is probably what has caused a lot of problems in our country in the first place.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And you look at a guy like Mark Zuckerberg, right? Very selective institution he went to, he dropped out.
Right.
He's a millionaire.
That's right. Yeah. That's
You
right.
know?
Yeah.
So because it is not necessarily the institution that makes the person, it's the person's ambition and their efforts and their energies and what they're going to bring to the table. And quite frankly, many people have to recognize that young people think very differently than in the past. That is why, during the pandemic, you saw so many people wanting to take gap years. I never even heard of a gap year before.
That's
now,
right. Yeah.
now
Suddenly it's
gap
it's hot.
years, and I've
Yeah.
got all this kind of stuff. Well, that's because the young people are not in the traditional mindset. And so when families make these investments in the places like you're discussing, how many of those folks actually now will complete those programs
That's
even
true.
after all the
Yeah.
money is spent?
That's right.
And even if you do complete the program, do you know how many people come to the community college that have bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and higher level degrees? I teach sometime in the paralegal studies program. I say, well, you have a bachelor's degree. Why are you in an associate degree paralegal studies program where you're going to get a certificate? Because I can make money with my paralegal certificate.
Oh, you have a great paralegal program. I recruit from your program. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned it. Yeah, yeah.
They say, I have a bachelor's degree, but I wasn't making money with my bachelor's degree. I came back to get this paralegal certificate because I can earn a living.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think today, the stigma of community college, of basket weaving, we don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, we're helping people get the skills to succeed. And I think that what we've got to be able to share with whomever is that this is a path for people who want the skills to succeed. I chose to go, I had a lot of different options for law school. I went to Brooklyn Law School in New York. The reason why I went to Brooklyn Law School, I could have went to Fordham, could have went to St. John's, could have went to other places, and all of those places are great. I went to Brooklyn because the other schools wanted to teach you how to think like a lawyer, and Brooklyn Law School required you to act like a lawyer. You had to go and file the papers down with the clerks, and you had to do an internship every semester.
You know,
and you
young
had to,
lawyers today don't do that anymore. They send a runner. I'm like, oh my gosh, when I was young, I go myself. My boss, that's right. I'll pick all those. They don't care if you're a girl or boy or you're a man and woman. They send you over with boxes of filings and you go. Now they send someone. I'm like, oh, what kind
we
of young
had to
lawyer?
know the procedural
That's right,
timelines
that's
when
right.
things
Oh my
were,
gosh.
and the CPLR and knowing it well and all this kind of stuff. So the civil rules, procedure law and everything. But I went to a law school that required you to act like a lawyer, not just think like a lawyer. But act like a lawyer. So I take that into everything I do, even at the college. I don't want our students to just take theoretical courses. I want them to take courses that have applied learning. And even if they're in the humanities or liberal arts, you still can do service learning, and that way you can actually concretize skills and do a civic good and engage in the humanities, the arts, the music, the culture, all of that. But I don't think that we have we can speak enough about the importance of skills,
Right, right.
particularly in a skill-based economy.
That's right.
You know, there was a time when we were in a knowledge-based economy. Everyone said, well, we're in the knowledge age. But guess what? The access to knowledge and the proliferation of artificial intelligence and all these other additives have changed it really from the knowledge economy because it's becoming more available. I believe we're in a skill-based economy now. If you can do stuff, you can actually do well here. And if you can't
Right.
do stuff, if you know, the computer can give you only what you put in. And so if you're not analytical, if you're not, careful, you will take whatever the information they spit out as gospel, and it could be absolutely false. So you have to have the skills of determining and deciphering what information is correct and how to use this well. So knowledge is great, but it's about skills today.
And I'm amazed at how Tri-C survived and thrived in spite of quite a few small colleges like sort of closing their doors
Yes.
and stopping enrollment. So
Yes.
really,
I mean,
yeah.
we're in our 5th semester of growth, enrollment growth. And we're growing new programs and we're hiring.
That's right, yeah.
So when other institutions, some of our peers in the community, are contracting, we're growing because we're focusing on skill-based education. We're growing because we're focusing on having multiple modalities. We're growing because we believe in people. We believe that when they select us, our ultimate job is to do everything we can to be the chief cheerleader for that student. That's my job. I am the chief cheerleader at Tri-C.
Got it. So how do you inspire and encourage your professors, your dean of different schools, and other students? How do you do that? You have to raise funds for the college. You have to inspire all these professional people. You have to inspire. How do you do separate? Do you separate, like, are you scientific in separating 20%, 10%, 10%, or not really?
I think it's more of being anchored in the mission. And I make all of my decisions and expend all of my time and energy making and drawing connections to the mission. For example, I'm building a Center for the Future of Work. A part of that Center for the Future of Work, so that we can stay ahead of the curve about the different changes of work, is that we're going to do a faculty externship program through that center. We're going to give faculty some release time to go into their professional practice area to be refreshed, so that they can actually give better examples in the classes and refresh their syllabus so that students have cutting-edge information, regardless of the discipline. In most institutions, it takes you 6 years before you can get a sabbatical. So after you're there 6 years, then you get 3 months to go and think about your professional practice area. Well, could you imagine all the things that change within the same 6 years? So for 6 years, you're doing the same syllabus, you're doing the same PowerPoints, you're doing the same. And what I'm saying is, why would you wait 6 years? iPhones, you can't
That's
wait
right,
6
that's
minutes for a new iPhone update. So it's really recognizing and helping faculty recognize, I'm going to support you. So I have to get the money, I have to fundraise so that I can have the money to give it to them to be able to do these things. But that is all in service to this mission of skill-based education. It's not just skills for our students. I need my faculty and my staff to also constantly improve, constantly build their skills so that they can actually make a meaningful contribution in the classroom and outside of it.
And another issue I always wonder, as a public community university college head of the school, how do you even use your own gut? You have a board who is powerful, and then you have your foundation board, you have this board, that board, you have the Dean's Advisory Commission, you have to kiss up to everybody, and your donors. And how do you even lead? Because by the time you have all these constituents, all these circle of influences, how do you use your gut and become a true leader?
Well, for me, leadership is the art of expectation management. So
Sounds
we
good.
have to set expectations in each one of those subgroups. We have to set the expectations with them. We have to create the boundaries with them. We have to establish what the norms are in each of these groups. Then we got to manage expectations. So if I'm not able to do something, I'm going to communicate that right away. I'm not going to wait till things fall to the ground and then all of a sudden I have to backpedal or what. I think bringing people along in real time, or if we can get a little bit of further than what we had thought, bringing people in real time is helpful. And then, where possible, exceed expectations. I look at our Skills to Succeed campaign. We had a goal of $50 million to raise that money to try to help our students navigate, because they don't get financial aid for workforce programs. So we wanted to do that. We were able, because of the work of all of you, to actually finish the campaign a year early, and we didn't finish it with 50 million, we finished it with $58 million. So we exceeded expectations because we kept people abreast. We stayed on the why. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because we don't have enough people fully educated to meet the needs in the community. And if we get them better educated, they'll take care of their families. They'll make their community stronger. They'll make a difference. So for me, as I think about my role as president, setting expectations, not unrealistic expectations, and being completely honest about what we can do and what we can't do. It's really managing those expectations well, and where possible, exceed expectations. And for me, it's always about acknowledging and crediting those who did the work. Not me. Everybody had came together, that worked together, that struggled together, that believed in the vision and saw it to come to pass.
I keep listening and say, wow, this guy is good. You know? So do you ever go, have you ever thought about going to the country and maybe at least go to other colleges and give presentation? I'm sure you get invited all the time.
I've been very, very fortunate. I've been all around the country to share how colleges can build the internal infrastructure with their leadership teams and the community engagement strategies to build momentum. And so this year I've been to several communities in Washington State and Virginia and different parts of the country, and I have a few more to do. And I really try to share with them now our Tri-C story, how we've engaged the community. I just recently spoke in Seattle at a conference on the work that Tri-C is doing with the actual housing authority, with our Scholar House, with Metro Health, with all of the different programs that we have for Metro Health patients, working with food banks so that we actually have services at the food bank so people can sign up and get classes and things there, to demonstrate that you can't just be insular. You can't just be in your little community. You know, we're in Esperanza where we hold classes, and we're all over the community because it's important for us and for those institutions to amplify the efforts of those that agree with you and you agree with. I can't just be, waiting for people to come to Tri-C. Tri-C has to go where people are. And so that's why, I gave a speech the other day at the McDonough prison here, right here in the neighborhood. I said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to teach a class. And I'm going to recruit some of those students, folks, so that when they are leaving, we can be that place of re-entry, if you will, for them, or a possibility of alternative sentencing, if that makes sense. So that we can actually say, we're not just waiting for you to come. We will go to you. We will be in your neighborhood. We will be in your community. One of my staff members, India Pierce-Lee, who is now my Executive Vice President of Strategy and Community Engagement, she worked for the Cleveland Foundation for many years. All of those relationships in the neighborhoods and in the community, we're now Tri-C is in many of those relationships, because bringing in a person with expertise and with sort of real credibility strengthens the credibility of the college.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So do you have, and I'm sorry, sometimes I miss our meetings, but do you have like a game plan for people like us who have been involved for a long time? What more could we do to help? Normally I get a call from Megan. Okay, you need to, okay, yes, ma'am, we'll be on it. But is there another thing more that we can help?
Yes. Well, it's so wonderful that you mentioned that, because we're going to actually have a retreat at the foundation board. And at that retreat, we're going to share with the foundation board our 5 schools. We've now reorganized our whole academic program into 5 schools. And so we want to be able to get our donors and our foundation folks to potentially be speakers for those students, to inspire them. to be mentors for those students, to have a group of students that they, if they desire, to shadow you or to, depending on the availability of the time of the foundation member or what have you. But more importantly, to better integrate the actual members with the journey of the student. Because I believe with all my heart that if a student just has the opportunity to spend an hour with you, what that could do to open up their understanding, to give them awareness, to raise their ambition. So, in as much as we need finances, and that's very important to do this work, that human connection, that human touch, that encouragement, walking in the power of your presence, that alone will make a big difference for our students who, for some, they have never met the owner of a business, or they don't have a lawyer in their family, or they don't know someone who is fighting for the rights of others. They don't, and maybe, just maybe, that moment or that vision can open up something in them. So yes, we're going to be doing some things to, not just financial. Financial is very important. We need that, but it's the power of your presence, the power of your story, the ability to see that this is possible. That, I think, is going to be really, really powerful for our students moving forward.
And for those of you who are listening, I am just in awe, and I meet a lot of people. I'm 74 years old, so I sort of know what I'm doing, but you are one of the few that I'm sitting here listening. I was like, whoa, what inspiration.
Thank you so
No,
much.
you need to do this for young people, because today they go to school, they go to work, the parents probably work 3 jobs. There's nobody there to listen to them.
Yes.
There's no communities, and they don't listen nowadays because they're so busy with the iPhone, the distractions. So someone like you is a godsend.
Well, I thank you for inviting me to be with you today. And once again, it's an honor. I know all the good things that you have been doing. And more importantly, I know what the people mean to you. Every day, I know you get up thinking about someone else. And if I can encourage and inspire our students to take that from you, that lesson from you, to get up every day and not just think about yourself, but somebody else, it'll make a big difference in their life as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.